image.
The creation of a cola drink as the most recognized brand on earth is a story of marketing genius.
Coke has been the big all-American brand, and Pepsi was always the street brand.
And I think it took it out of another product category and put it into the icon category.
The Cola Conquest, 9:30 Saturday.
Tonight's edition of Africa, Cape Town to Cairo, is rated M for mature audiences. It contains coarse language and violence.
My name's Michael Davey. I was born in Africa, raised in Australia, and came back to Africa to make an adventure film. I arrived here feeling 10 feet tall and bulletproof, determined to travel the notorious 8,500 kilometers from Cape Town to Cairo, doing everything dumb and dangerous in between. But Africa changed me.
Okay. All right, we are registered by the Ministry of Information.
Okay, all right, okay.
Put it down.
Okay.
Darling, there are sensitive flowers here.
Get down, fucker!
So that fucking guy, he come to fucking rape my sister. What must I do?
Why do you sniff through?
Just forget about life.
Forget about life.
Yes.
Is the drug easy to get?
It's very easy to get the drugs.
Yes.
It's easy, but money is difficult.
So what do you think about all this trouble I've caused?
I think it's rather a hoot, actually.
I began my journey in Cape Town, Africa's southernmost city, loud and fun, full of colourful characters.
Radical, disapupa Vix party, people, gonna overcome the world!
After a couple of days in the city, I headed up Table Mountain to bag one of Africa's best climbs with a pair of local lads. Okay. Oh.
Oh, this is good.
The top. The climb was great, but I realized I'd flown halfway around the world, and all I was doing was clowning around like a tourist on steroids. I looked down at Cape Town and saw a sprawl of human stories that had to be more interesting than my own antics. I ditched the adventure film idea, found a witch doctor, and told him I was going to travel from one end of the continent to the other, searching for people who could reveal their Africa to me, and I asked him to give me the odds.
You're at the gun now, no?
Yes.
They're not going nice. Can try not to happen.
He didn't seem too optimistic. In fact, he told me to go home, pour goat's blood on my grandfather's grave, and forget the whole thing. I didn't have the heart to tell him my grandfather had been cremated.
Michael,
Yeah.
Michael. Have you ever kissed a girl before?
Yeah. Yeah, once or twice, maybe.
Okay.
Michael, how old are you, Michael?
I'm 22 years old.
Okay, thank you.
Are you married?
No.
What about you? You got any kids?
Are you Mike?
I am Michael as well. Pleased to meet you.
Thank you.
So you're telling me that baboons masturbate onto a rock?
Yeah.
And then these traditional healers, they go out and they collect the stuff?
Yeah, they just go out and pick it up. Well, it's just from a rock, they just...
Have you tried it yourself?
Yeah, man, all the time.
My friend, if you eat this one, you become the strongest man in Africa.
Not a bad start, I thought to myself, and jumped a truck heading north, towards a part of the country I remembered from my childhood. In those days, South Africa was the land of apartheid, where blacks were beaten and jailed if they dared rub shoulders with whites. But the blacks fought back and won. Now Nelson Mandela is president, and this is his new South Africa, peaceful and reconciled. Or so they say. I arrived at my uncle's farm on the edge of Zululand, keen to find out if my family's attitudes had become more liberal in the new era. Down at the dairy, I caught up with my cousin Carol.
I think it's much of a classes thing, because most blacks are poor. That's generalizing really, because there's some rich blacks in our class. But if you know what I mean?
So you're saying you wouldn't go out with a black person because they're poor? Or because they're black?
No, I just wouldn't. It's no. I don't know. It's just like the way things are. You know? You know what I mean?
No.
It's like, if you brought up in England, you wouldn't put your elbows on the table. It's just not done.
What do you think is the future of Africa, of South Africa? Do you think things are going to get better?
It's going to get worse. Well, that us whites are going to have to experience what the blacks went through first, before everything gets better. Because we can't say it's enough, only they can say it's enough. And it's going to get worse. I mean, the violence, I think, is going to increase a lot. Because, like, just more hate and more hate and more hate. Every day we have laborers on the farm, and they do their job, and I don't think they get paid enough, quite personally. They get paid enough to live with, but not to progress.
I've been coming to this farm every few years since I was about 5 years old, and never once did it even cross my mind to come and find out where the farm laborers lived. This is Joe, this is Enoch, and this is Duduz, and they've also been working here since they were 5, and this is the first time I've met them. Come in, come in. Hey! I got it. It was a pleasant surprise to have been accepted so warmly on the farm, considering South Africa's racial history. But I wondered if things would continue that way. On the road again, I found a ride and asked if he was going north. Hi there. You going to Mangochi?
Yes.
Can I jump in?
Jump in.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Thanks very much for the lift.
Thanks.
That's great.
Thank you.
Stiff, dusty, and spattered with chicken shit, I arrived in Johannesburg, the biggest city south of Cairo, and the baddest.
Last month they shot my husband, my boyfriend. They shot him. He's dead. What must I do for a living? I haven't got a job.
I could feel my light-hearted journey turning heavy. The air was thick with the threat of violence, and I began to wonder if anything had really changed since the end of apartheid.
Oh, my friend, you lie. You lie like Mandela. Mandela is lying for me the first time. He told me he can give me a place to stay. Where's the place now? I stay here in the street for what? Mandela stay in...
Don't blame Mandela. Don't blame Mandela.
Her name was Geraldine, and she believes nothing has changed since Mandela came to power. Disillusioned and bitter, she survives on the streets any way she can. Show me what's written on your arm.
Hmm?
Show me what is on your arm. On your arm, your tattoo. What does that say?
I hate love.
Say that again.
I hate love.
Why have you got that tattooed on your arm?
Because I don't like a fucking man must touch me. I was born alone, and I can die alone. You see me? I don't like every fucking boys who touch a woman now.
When he was elected, Mandela promised to build 1 million homes for the country's poor. He hasn't delivered, and the dispossessed still struggle in cardboard slums all over the country, forgotten and vulnerable.
So that fucking guy, he come to fucking rape my sister. What must I do? What must I do? That guy come to rape my sister. I want to cover my sister because we are humans. What the police can do? Nothing. The police, he like to drink beers, he like to smoke. You can tell the story for the police, you do nothing.
This is a 9mm Z88, semi-automatic, 15 rounds, and one in the chamber, so it can take 16.
This is 2 magazines, each carrying 50 rounds.
You pull the pin, and you throw it, and it's got a 1.5 second delay.
Very powerful file. Got actually a couple of sequences, and it's quite useful in very dangerous situations.
It's very effective.
You like using those?
Definitely. Now it's one up, now you can just shoot and go mad, go wild.
I remembered the South African police from the apartheid years as a mob of racist psychopaths.
And this can take 5 shots from an AK-47.
But I figured they must have changed since Mandela came to power, so I asked if I could check out how they did business in the new South Africa.
The hell have I got myself into?
I was assigned to ride with officers Darryl Lambrecht and Jannie Oudendal, members of the Flying Squad, Johannesburg's crack task force.
Good luck, he stabbed somebody.
Who did he stab?
His mother.
Every 8 minutes we got a call. Murder, attempted murder, bank robbery, carjacking, rape.
We shot a person there in Johannesburg for breaking into a clothing shop. We arrested 3 and then the one we shot. Your first shooting incident is major trauma. Sleepless nights, worries. After that it's becomes second nature. Yeah. We're not programmed killers, eh? Don't understand. Don't understand. We're not programmed killers.
Can you describe what it was like the first time you shot somebody?
Horrible. Quiet. guilt.
How did you cope with that the first time you killed somebody?
Silence. I don't speak about it.
Is it true that you never forget the screams of the people that you shoot?
Yeah, you never forget it. You'll never forget that specific instant, that moment you pull the trigger, that moment you fell, that moment when everything turns quiet. Get back, get back, get back. The only thing that really still touches me is family murders. That's the only thing I don't like doing. That one and child abuse. That's really very, very, very sensitive. Those, I did one before where an 8-month-old baby was shot by a father. And also here in the south, the baby was still living. On the way, as the chopper was landing, the baby died. And it's bad. The baby died in your arms. You know? It takes a bit out of you. It takes you a while to get back into your normal state again. If you can call it normal.
Please, hey, get up, please. Get down. Hey, get down, fucker.
Just take your money.
Money. I am a diplomatic man. Hello? He hit me. Who hit you? Because we're black. Who? Yes. Yeah. Hit him. Who hit him?
Was it me, him, the lady, or the cameraman?
Because we're black. I never said that.
My friend,
It's not a question.
it's not a thing of black and white.
White.
So, it's not a thing of black and white.
How do you like?
Do you think the South African police force is racist? Because a lot of the world, I would imagine, thinks it's racist.
It's much more racism against us as a white cop.
All the colored cops, all the Indian cops.
Because it's always, why do you pull me off? Because I'm a black man.
That's
and
the first thing they say.
because I can't afford this car. And,
Security. So fucking what? Why are you hitting me like this? Because you're a fucking asshole, that's why. No, I'm a security. I am a security.
You like living here?
Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes it gets bored, but you spend most of your time in here. Unfortunately, in my bedroom. My wife, myself, I've got a kid as well, 3 years old. Her name is Valise, also in the police force. She works for social services. And then down here, at the bottom, you can't see it, we've got actually the graveyard, a massive graveyard. That's why I can't complain about my neighbors, they're always quiet. That's the only thing that's good about this place, my neighbors is quiet. Yeah.
Odie, do you think in your job you treat black and white suspects differently? Or do you treat them
never.
the same?
No, I treat him exactly the same. As I told you the other day in the car, it doesn't matter if he's white or black. If he's violent towards me, I'll be violent back to him.
Hey, the guy started telling us, no, fuck off, get away from here, I want to park the car. So he says to me, fuck off. Hey, next minute he said, the guy he held a firearm, then he passed it on to his wife. I said to him, for a person to say fuck off like that, and we are 10 of us, he's got a gun.
In South Africa, there are 41 million people and an estimated 65 million guns. In Australia, there's an average of 300 murders a year. In South Africa, there are up to 20,000. In Johannesburg alone, 8 policemen have been shot in the 10 days I've been on patrol.
I've seen what I would class as police brutality, or what a lot of people would class as police brutality.
Rotting cases.
That kind of thing, yeah. Now, how would you justify that, or how would you explain that to people who don't understand the society that you live and work in?
Did it work? Was it effective? It was, so...
There's one stupid thing that the people don't see. The police act brutal because they've been treated brutal in the first place. There was policemen that were burned to death, they were stoned to death, they were killed, they were cut with knives and stuff, but they didn't show that. Then obviously if your friends, the people that you work with, they become like family to you, they are killed in such a way, it's obvious that that person is going to start to act brutal against the person who's killing. Because there's so many policemen killed lately, you can't take a chance with anything.
Her reasoning didn't convince me, but back on patrol my attitude started to change. 2 young men were threatening to shoot a teenager. A mob at the door was baying for blood. The police raided their apartment searching for the gun, and I joined in.
Where's the gun? This one is got we take your whole room apart.
We trashed the place and found nothing. I could feel myself being drawn into the cycle of violence, and I began to understand how these cops thought. Strike first, or become the next statistic.
Are you pleased with tonight's progress?
It was a bit quiet like a normal Saturday night. Normal Saturday night is actually much more busier tonight. But that was quite fun. So far, the night's still young, it's only 2 o'clock. We've got another 4 hours to go.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. Before the election, it was actually much worse than it's now. Now, it's totally calmed down. But, in 94, I had a nervous breakdown due to all the killing of cops. Well, you see it every day.
I've got a funny feeling, right?
Yeah, I said it to him now. Just when we spoke Afrikaans, I said to him, I think tonight's the night.
Something's gonna happen, you think?
Our shift was nearly over, and we were driving back to base when I got involved again. A man was shot, and we arrived before the paramedics. He was fading fast. Darryl tore open his first aid kit and handed me 2 tampons. I put my camera down, and we tried to plug the entrance and exit wounds.
Jesus, that was the result of a shooting between 2 black guys in an inner city suburb. Inspector Lamprecht, or Darryl, tried to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. The ambulance turned up far too late, and the guy is dead.
Okay. Thank you very much for taking care of me.
That's fine,
no problem. My ass.
Yeah,
it was a pleasure.
Don't go home without bulletproof, huh?
A lot's changed in South Africa since Nelson Mandela came to power, but violence is still a way of life. I realize now, though, the force behind the violence isn't skin color, it's violence itself. Apartheid bred a culture of brutality and retaliation, which lives on in the new South Africa.
Been sitting here for more than 4 hours, and I'm starting to get just a touch pissed off.
As bad as it was in Joburg, everybody said there'd be more trouble further north. I decided to steer clear of the big cities and head for the bush.
Are you going to Maun?
Yes, I'm going.
You are a champion. Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
I finally got a ride across the border into Botswana and was heading towards the Okavango Delta. Or so I thought.
What's the problem? What, no more petrol? Ah, you've got to be joking. We're so close. Oh, shit.
So you are going.
I'm going.
You have left something here.
Next week, Michael finds that the government of Zimbabwe is sensitive to the exposure of the problems of its street kids when Africa, Cape Town to Cairo returns. You can find the CD from the series at ABC shops.
When your mothers are drunk...
Well, what's this then?
Passion and beauty.
Is how they should interact with their doctor at a time that a diagnosis has been made, or an expensive test or important test is being ordered, or diagnosis has been made and a treatment is being recommended or considered. At that time, it's very appropriate for, I think, the patient to be aggressive in asking for the evidence that whatever's being recommended will actually benefit them.
In medicine, we often celebrate the wonders of science and technology, but in fact they are two very different things, and too often we confuse them. Science is about rigorous questioning and evaluation, and when it comes to the introduction of new medical technology, this hasn't happened anywhere near enough. While it's important to recognise the value of medical tests and therapies, we also need much more healthy scepticism and much better information in order to make more informed choices for ourselves and our loved ones.
That was the final episode of Too Much Medicine. The book from the series is available at ABC shops. Coming up in a moment, a look at Murder Squad to be seen next week. Then stay with us for Africa, Cape Town to Cairo. The Too Much Medicine web forum is live online right now. You can join in at www.abc.net.au/science.
Next Thursday, come behind the scenes at Scotland Yard.
A double murder and sex attack in West London.
A chilling new series.
This really is a mystifying crime.
With unprecedented and unrestricted access to the investigations of the crack murder squad.
The fact that he's talking gives us something to tie him down with. It's a horrible inquiry, a horrible attack. I'm sure we're going to get him.
Murder Squad, 8 o'clock next Thursday.
Good evening, Michael Smith with an ABC News break. 3 nurses from the same Melbourne hospital are dead, another 3 injured after a plane crash in Bass Strait this afternoon. The single-engine aircraft crashed during takeoff from King Island. The survivors, 2 in critical condition and 1 serious, have been airlifted to Melbourne. More grim news on the jobs front today, with up to 250 production workers at Clark's Shoes at Marston walking off the job following the announcement of redundancies. The Textile Clothing and Footwear Union says workers want answers about the future of the company. The government of Chile will ask Spain to drop extradition proceedings against former President Augusto Pinochet. It follows the decision by the British House of Lords to reject his plea for immunity from extradition. Spain wants to put Pinochet on trial for the deaths of Spanish citizens during his time in office. Now to the weather, a cool change sweeping across the state tonight. Tops in the north tomorrow ranging from 20 to 35. Further south, 23 for Renmark, 20 at Maitland and Murray Bridge. And for Adelaide, the southwesterly change moving through overnight, much cooler tomorrow. Some morning showers, but fine by the afternoon, a top of 20 after a low tonight of 15. Fine and warm for the weekend with tops in the mid-20s. I'll be back with more news for you in an hour.
50 years ago, 17 Australian cricketers achieved what no other side before or since has been able to do.
We played 6 days a week for 5 months. Never lost a game.
The only side in the history of the rivalry between Australia and England to go through an entire tour undefeated.
I would think it is one of the great sides in history.
The Invincibles, 8:30 Tuesday.
Tuesday morning, Richard Margetson with you. 13.2 degrees in the city. 891 Adelaide's 5am. As I say, the Federal Cabinet gathers in Whyalla today as the High Court considers a final decision.
Plans are underway for next year's Blue Lake Festival. It'll be held in early March. The festival will coincide with Mount Gambier's famous...
The exhibition's called The Flinders Experience, and not surprisingly, the works in it are inspired by a recent trip that the
A record amount of Riverland oranges will set sail for the United States this season. Almost 1 million cartons of oranges.
Today?
Oh, you're okay. You're okay.
You're gonna do a tandem jump too?
Yeah.
Is that dangerous?
Yeah, it's dangerous.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5.
I'd been in Africa for 6 weeks, making my way from Cape Town to Cairo. My journey began with a witch doctor's bad omen, then a brush with a wild slum queen, a ride into hell with maverick cops, a barnyard hoedown on the family farm, and the kindness of many warm-hearted people. I had made it to Johannesburg and was heading north again, eager to take on anything Africa could throw at me.
Are you going to Maun?
Yes, I'm going.
You are a champion. Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
I hitched a ride across the border into Botswana, confident I'd get to the Okavango Delta before darkness set in. What's the problem?
Finished.
What, no more petrol?
No more.
Ah, you've got to be joking.
Who does?
We're so close. Oh, shit.
So you are going?
I'm going.
You have left something here.
I finally made it to the Delta and kicked back in a dugout canoe to enjoy the Africa I'd read and dreamed so much about. There's a saying, you don't take a trip, the trip takes you. And it's true. Out here, there's nothing much to do. So I surrendered to Africa's gentle pace and momentarily stopped my search for the quintessential African story, because this is it. I'm in it. And this is the Africa I love.
Oh my God. Come on.
What, 8 meters? What is it?
It's okay, you can press the button again now. The red one.
The red one.
Do you think life here in Botswana is difficult?
Yes,
Why?
because there is no jobs.
But your future? Does your future look good?
Yes, I think so.
You happy doing this?
Yes.
You do it a whole lot better than me.
What?
You do it much better than I do.
Yes. No.
Oh, that is so nice. Yeah. Canoeing the Delta was like exploring inside a picture from the magical African storybook of my childhood, and I didn't want it to end. Eventually, I dragged myself away and headed east to another place full of fond memories, my grandparents' home in Bulawayo, the town where I was born. Hello. Nice to see you again.
So you well, my boy?
Yes, I'm well, thank you. Gee, it's good to see you guys again.
Buggered,
G'day, Big
buggered.
J. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, young Mickey. You haven't put on any weight.
No.
Never mind.
In 1978, when I last lived in Africa, my father and grandfather were unwilling participants in a civil war, fighting for a white tribe who didn't want to share with the blacks. The land was called Rhodesia, and we left behind our servants who we loved, and safaris and country clubs, which we may have loved even more. The country is now called Zimbabwe, but my memories of my home haven't changed. As I arrive, I find myself still seeing it through the eyes of a child, a place free of tension and problems, an idyllic little oasis where we enjoyed the good life. I wonder how long that impression will last. So you think then Africa's got quite an optimistic future to look forward to?
Oh, yes, long term, definitely.
How long term? And what are the problems they're going to have to overcome?
Oh, Michael, we must sit down and talk for 100 years, not when I'm in the middle of putting my lipstick on. Go on.
What about the relationship between black people and white people in Zimbabwe?
Well, it was never bad here. Never. Even during the war, it wasn't bad. Our Africans are very different. They're amiable people. They're very conscious of their new powers and very touchy about things.
Put down your comment.
I don't understand what I've done wrong.
Or you close it.
Okay. That one doesn't fit. That one doesn't fit. Okay, all right. Okay.
Put it down.
Okay.
Young black people have got every single opportunity that they need if they're prepared to work hard. Young white people are the wrong color.
The day after I arrived, I went into Bulawayo to see how much had changed, and I saw something I'd never seen before in my hometown, a gang of street children begging.
Where are you working for?
I work for Australian television. I'm doing a story about street scenes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Now, look. There, for the whole of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Did that boy take the money?
Yes.
How old are you, Ethel?
18.
How long have you been living on the streets for?
20.
You don't remember? Why aren't you living with your parents?
No food at all.
And how old are you, Alex?
I'm 14 years old.
How long have you been living on the streets for?
About 6 years.
Why aren't you living at home with your parents?
My father died and I've got stepmother.
She doesn't like me, so she says to me from home.
And how do you make a living on the streets? How do you eat?
I beg, and sometimes I look in the garbage bins.
Why didn't you tell me you were from the Ministry of Information?
I told you. I'm from the Chronicle. All right, we are registered by the Ministry of Information. This is we're government.
My grandmother was right. The government was touchy. The Ministry of Information had sent a man to find out why a foreigner was so interested in street kids. Eventually, he left me alone, and I caught up with the kids at their weekly reading and writing class. Afterwards, I spoke to the volunteer teachers. Is the Ministry of Information scared that the outside world is going to find out that Zimbabwe has a street children problem?
I think you're right, because we are ashamed, you know, for foreigners to know that, you know, Zimbabwe's got street kids and stuff like that, and they're doing nothing about it. And
my heart really cries out, because I really feel pain for those street kids, because they are part of us, they're same as us. But if I'm seeing that our government doesn't take part of them, doesn't want to help them, it's something which hurts my heart.
We've spoken to the government, the social welfare guys, and it looks like they've got offices, you know, and they're just seated in their offices, you know, and they say, no, we don't have finances, we don't have this, but, you know, I don't think it's true, actually. It's just lack of concern.
Some of the kids are being abused by white people. They're somewhere abusing them, like homosexuals, they're taking them doing that. So with that, they can have AIDS or whatever they can, what type disease they can have for being abused.
What about the Mukiwa, the white men? Do they sometimes come and take you away?
Yes, sometimes.
This has happened to you before?
Yes.
And how much did they pay you for this?
Just $20. And
what did you have to do?
I bought food.
What did the white men do to you?
It's $6. This is the story which I wrote, Adventure in Town. One day I was begging for money near a bottle store when I saw a man in a white pickup looking at me as if he knew me. I ran to the corner of the bottle store. To my surprise, I saw the man parking his car, making a sign to me, come. I ran to his car thinking he will help me. As I got near his car, he said, he will give me $20. I left the man and I kept on thinking about what the white man wanted. Today, I know this man is well known for taking boys for sex. I feel that I saved myself from being used as a woman.
The next day, I found the lads snoozing in the sun. It seemed the Ministry of Information had taken me more seriously than I'd taken them. How are you today? Did you get a good night's sleep? I don't suppose so. You did?
It's in newspaper.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Newspaper.
Newspaper today.
Say that again?
So
in the newspaper.
We're in the newspaper?
Yes.
Are we really?
Yes.
Why is that?
They're talking about us.
Are we in trouble?
No.
What's the problem? No, I don't have to close the camera. I know my rights.
You're all right, but you don't have to,
And what's the problem?
Photograph me also.
Okay, well, you don't have to hassle me all the time.
I don't have to hassle you, but you don't have to photograph me as well.
Huh? You're going to take me to the station for interviewing street kids?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I've been sent here
to arrest me?
Yes.
They dragged me down to headquarters and interrogated me for 8 hours. The next day, I was in the paper again.
22-year-old. What's this? Thursday, May the 29th. You've made the front page again, Michael, you silly boy. Here we go. Aussie tourist quizzed. An Australian tourist, Mr. Michael Davey, who was captured on camera by a Chronicle photographer filming street kids in the city, was yesterday picked up for questioning by the police. 22-year-old Mr. Davey was still being held by late afternoon in the Bulawayo Central Police Station.
Why are they so paranoid?
Darling, there are sensitive flowers here. You've got to be careful and not tread on them.
What is that you've got? What do you... Is that glue?
No.
Do you sniff glue as well?
What
Yes.
Why do you sniff glue?
To just forget about life.
To forget about life?
Yeah.
Yes.
You must know how to beg for money and a place to sleep. And the food you buy, you must buy. You mustn't pick up food in the garbage bins. I'd like to be a movie star.
What kind of movies would you like to act in?
Me?
Yeah.
Action movies.
With guns?
Yes.
And explosions?
Yeah.
And good-looking girls?
Yes. As well as being a movie star in the future, I would like to help the street kids.
How are you going to help the street kids?
I'd like to build a house, a big house for the street kids. And I'll be giving them food. And I'll send them to school, if I could.
Here we go, Michael. We are in the editorial this time. Zimbabwean street children have not been subjected to anything like the beatings and rapes that have damned Australia's assimilation policy, as already reported worldwide. That the street kids went so far as to team up with the tourist in charging at our photographer can only suggest they must have been induced in unknown ways to pose for the cameraman and try to resort to violence. What a load of nonsense.
They say going home is never easy, and now I know what they mean. The town I remember is gone, and in its place are the realities of modern Africa.
Is it going to get any worse or any better as I go north, do you think?
No, I think it's going to get worse, and I'm really quite pleased that this has happened, so you'll have an idea what might be waiting for you when you go up north.
I left my hometown and my childhood behind, and for 3 days I hiked across the Chimanimani Mountains towards the Mozambique border. Man, this place is just amazing. Just amazing. Mozambique at last. Just hope I don't step on any landmines. From the mountains, I made my way to Maputo, the capital of Mozambique. Despite being in one of the poorest countries on earth, the city seemed vibrant and healthy, full of cheeky kids who took me traipsing around the sights. There was spontaneity and zest for life among the people, and I soon learned why. 20 years of civil war have just ended in Mozambique, and every day they celebrate that they were not among the million who lost their lives. But it soon became obvious the suffering hadn't ended and the war was still claiming victims. Everywhere I went, I saw people who'd been injured by landmines, which were left littering vast tracts of rural land when the conflict stopped. I wondered how the victims coped and what was being done about the mines.
This one is PMD6, again anti-personnel blast mine. As you can see, it's just a wooden mine. That's packed with explosives, again designed to maim, take off a lower limb.
I found a United Nations demining program with an Australian technical advisor, Major Carl Shergwin. He invited me to check out the operation.
British mines, Italian mines, US mines, etc., Portuguese mines, and so on.
So the whole of the Western world has contributed to this little debacle?
I wouldn't single out the Western world. I would say the world.
How dangerous is the demining work?
Oh, if you make a mistake, it's very dangerous. You can't afford to let your concentration lapse, because you could come across a tripwire, you could miss a mine, anything, and end up with all sorts of problems. We, in the hot conditions of summer, we change our deminers over every 20 minutes because we consider that to be about the maximum amount of time span of concentration. The one thing to remember when we're moving through the area is don't, for whatever reason, step outside the taped areas, because we don't know whether they're clear. We can't say that they are clear.
Thanks for the warning.
We give the warning to everybody.
Until clearing began, there was a mine victim a day in Mozambique. The Majors Group has cleared 9,500 mines so far. There's just under 1 million to go.
What kind of damage could a mine like this do?
Take off lower leg or take off a limb. It's primarily a weapon that's designed to maim rather than kill, although there's every chance in the world they'll kill a small child or an elderly person.
The lady had an argument with her children where they were blaming her for killing all the grandchildren, and then after the argument she came into the minefield and blew herself up.
We have cleared exit and entrance routes because you can imagine if you are living 30 metres away from where your garden is, however there's a minefield between you and it, you may have to walk 10 kilometres, 15 kilometres round trip to get around to your garden, which is really only 30 metres away. They have a fair idea of just where the mines, etc. are, because a lot of them were in the area when they were laid anyway. They have a great deal of confidence in the effectiveness of our clearance. As we move down a minefield, they're planting along behind. The site is clear, over.
Despite the smiling faces and the easiness with which the villagers seem to have adapted to living amidst minefields, hundreds of rural Mozambicans, mostly women and children, are still injured and killed every year by the mines. The lucky and the brave are given a chance to walk again. 5-year-old Isabel was one of them. Her parents had been killed in the war, and I met her at a clinic in Maputo, where she'd come to have a casting taken of her leg. This clinic currently fits 500 people a year with new limbs. The demand is at least 2,000.
This is a small injury.
A small injury?
Yeah.
There are approximately 110 million active landmines planted on the Earth. It's estimated they will take 1,100 years to clear. Until then, they will continue to maim and kill.
I think she'll be okay. And I've seen them recovering and doing well.
Last year, 100,000 landmines were cleared worldwide. At the same time, 2 million new mines were planted.
Goodbye, Isabel.
It costs $4 to build a landmine. They take less than 2 minutes to assemble and 30 seconds to plant. But Isabel's prosthetic leg costs $30 to construct and takes 6 people 3 days using recycled plastics, donated metal and improvised machinery.
That's my stitch out all this, she has forgotten now.
Isabel was the bravest child I'd ever met. Injured and orphaned in one of the world's poorest countries, the odds were stacked high against her. But then, without hesitation, she began to walk again.
She has to pay.
I'm inspired by Isabel's courage. She embodies her country's tenacious spirit and has made my own doubts about getting from Cape Town to Cairo seem insignificant. I leave Mozambique and head north again, filled with energy and hope.
Next week, Michael finds a paradise almost lost when Africa, Cape Town to Cairo returns. You can find the CD from the series at ABC shops. Stay with us now for the irrepressible Alf Garnett in Till Death Us Do Part.
I am going to sit on my ass on this beach and do absolutely nothing for a week.
In a place death who puts on a spotted robe when he goes to his victim. Playful killer whose loving embrace splits the antelope's heart.
The leopard, revered by African peoples. The night stalker, revealed in all his beauty and grace. A world of stealth. Nature World Leopard, Saturday.
The best in Australian journalism.
12 Walkley Award winners is not a bad effort.
Excellence in daily news reporting.
Michael Brissenden and Max Humphrey.
And the winner is...
Jeff Thompson, John Covenant. Winners David Spicer.
It's such an extraordinary list of awards.
Mark is a reporter with the ABC's Foreign Correspondent Program. Congratulations, John Miller, broadcast presenting category.
Maxine McHugh.
This is wonderful because I've never won anything before. Congratulations to Heather Peter and the rest of the State Line team.
2 gongs for Darwin.
Sean Dorney is the PNG correspondent for the ABC. Congratulations, Mike Davis and Peter McAvoy.
Wonderful photography, Lawrence McManus. Finally recognised. Well done, Lawrence.
Most outstanding contribution to journalism.
I'm only a bush journalist.
Bega in New South Wales stole the evening. Good on you, Murray. Four Corners, foreign correspondent. Australian Story. ABC News on radio and television. Well done. Tonight's edition of Africa, Cape Town to Cairo is rated M for mature audiences. It contains occasional coarse language and drug references.
I'd been on the road for 3.5 months, trekking overland from Cape Town to Cairo. My journey began with a witch doctor's bad omen, a wild-assed ride with maverick cops, a near-naked cruise through the Okavango Delta, a street kid's story, a stint in the slammer, and the inspiring bravery of a landmine victim. I had made it to Mozambique and was heading north into Malawi when I ganged up with a hormonal threesome, 2 love-starved accountants and their virile vehicle, Roger. You miss your girlfriend?
Oh, yeah. Wild woman. Rip your cock off in bed. Roger's the greatest.
What kind of a Land Rover is he?
Gutsy. Manly.
Got the balls of an elephant.
He's got the sperm cunt of a wild dog. He's a fucking beast. Look at him.
Yeah, a real beast. We putted along at 20 kilometers an hour for the next 6 days. The lads on a do-or-die quest for sex. You guys are kind of desperate, huh?
It's been a bit of a dry spell, to be honest. But, you know, Mike, before this trip, we kind of got our priorities right. Dry spells have their rewards.
What are those rewards?
The end of the dry spell. Torrential down. We like to focus our energies on other things when we're on the road.
Like what?
Sex takes a back seat.
What are the priorities?
Potholes, for instance. They become the vein of your existence.
The potholes were more like duck ponds. Bone-jarred, weary, and sexually frustrated, we finally made it to Lake Malawi. I've been on the road for 3 months solidly now, and I am going to sit on my ass on this beach and do absolutely nothing for a week. Nothing. After 3 days doing nothing, I got bored and started hanging out with the beach urchins. What's your name?
My name is Mafiosi.
Why do they call you Mafiosi?
I give shit to the white people on the beach.
What do you think is going to happen to this area if too many whites come here?
No more black people stay here. Because the whites bring a lot of money, so they want to buy land. So, because the blacks, they like money too much. So they'll sell their land for money.
Are you afraid of losing your home because of all the whites coming here buying up land?
Yeah.
So if that happens, what will you do? Where will you go?
Because we earn our living on fishing and farming. So when we sell here, in town you can't find big land to make your farms and other stuff. And in town you can't do your fishing. So otherwise you just come as a robber. So you go to police every day.
What are you going to do in your future?
I don't know.
Become a movie star, maybe?
I don't think so.
On the road again, Mike.
How have you guys been going with the women's situation on this trip?
What women's situation, Mike?
You haven't had any luck.
We're thinking of changing Roger's name.
To what? Chastity?
What's her?
This country is full of psychotic bus drivers. Onwards we surged into Africa's dark and unforgiving heart until Roger met his match, a treacherously damp 15-degree incline. Kick it in the guts, come on.
Oh, shit. That's pain there.
Don't worry.
It'll come.
You guys are really lowering the tone of my film, dropping your guts on camera. Jesus.
Bit of bass.
This is the fourth time I've tried to give a little spiel to camera. It's really hard to do when you want to puke your breakfast all over the deck. Anyway, I'm on board the hydrofoil from Dar es Salaam, which is way back that way, out to Zanzibar Island, which is way the hell out there somewhere. As far as I know, Zanzibar was a slave trading port in the 14th and 15th centuries, and it's supposed to be amazingly beautiful. So I'm looking forward to doing some good shooting out there, get some sand and some sun.
Absolutely magnificent. This place is paradise. Zanzibar is the biggest backpackers hangout on the East African coast, enticing them with its clove-scented air, pristine beaches and cheap dope. The place won us over instantly. The lads and I checked into a room in Stone Town, and while they continued their carnal crusade, I went out to get the word on paradise. What about Zanzibar? How have you found Zanzibar? Do you like it?
Love it. Awesome place. It's excellent. We're just about to go on some bikes and go right around the island. It's going to be
easy to get around here, really easy. And you feel safe at night, everybody's out.
People are so friendly.
They speak good English as well, they're helpful.
Really, really helpful, welcoming. Feel really good.
How safe do you feel in this society?
I don't feel safe.
How scared do you feel right now doing this interview?
Scared to death.
This woman claimed she'd been abducted by the army on suspicion of being a member of Zanzibar's suppressed opposition party. She agreed to be interviewed if I kept her identity concealed.
I think maybe they'll come and get me and put me in prison, maybe, and torture me.
So why have you agreed to do this interview?
Because I think it's right. People have to know, because people do not know what's really going on in this country. Because though it's a paradise, but there is hell behind it.
Were you looking for a cultural experience or something different?
Culture.
Definitely a cultural experience. Definitely.
And how much of raw, real African culture do you think you've been exposed to?
Oh,
More than I thought.
Yeah.
More than I thought. But still, we haven't really been right in there. Sort of like.
They had guns, so they took out their guns and said, you have to follow us. So we followed them up to their camp. They took us there. Then they said that we are not afraid to kill anybody. We have killed before, so we are not afraid to kill anyone. And then one guy who had a gun, he said that I have already made, the graves for you. I'll take you and show you your graves. And they took us to the hill, and they tortured us. Sometimes when I see a soldier on the street, I just feel like I want to go and cut his throat.
What's going on? You're struggling.
Oh no, we had this contract yesterday and they have just gone against everything they said yesterday. Everything. The price, the bikes, we weren't even supposed to have these bikes. Permits, they said they'd organise permits, we could pick them up here. Now we have to go back to the police station to get them before we go. Oh my God!
Africa wins again.
Yeah.
Because I see most of the young people, they are not happy for what's going on now.
How far do you think they would be prepared to go to get a better life? I mean, are they going to take up arms, do you think? Or is it a matter of...
I think so, but still, they don't want to shed blood. But if it's necessary, I think they will.
Zanzibar peace.
Zanzibar peace. Zanzibar peace. Peace.
I tracked down several top men in the opposition, and they were happy to chat. For wannabe revolutionaries, they were surprisingly laid back.
It is very peaceful, but actually inside it is tense, and unless the situation is being addressed within the near future, there may have some bloodshed and violence.
The fever of change is gaining up. The thermometer is rising.
So are you prepared to fight for a better future?
Yeah, I like it to fight.
Would you lay down your life for a better future?
Yes, of course.
Anger and frustration have been brewing towards boiling point since the so-called People's Revolution of 1964, when nearly 100,000 people died in the battle for control of the island. The CCM party won the day and promised equality, justice and democracy for all. It then went the way of many African governments and became a dictatorship, which has been in power ever since. Beaches strewn with dead bodies were soon covered with the healthy, wealthy and white, who pumped in foreign dollars, keeping the old guard firmly in place. But what I wanted to know was why there weren't any young guns in the opposition. If there was going to be a revolution, surely youth would lead the charge.
Dictators throughout Africa have always been trying to alienate youth from politics, because they know that youth are the ones who are very active and radical in seeking political changes.
The future is looking quite bad for young Zanzibar.
Very bad, very bad.
But is there a lot of anger amongst young people?
Yes.
Do the young people want change?
Yes.
Do you think the change will come?
Change, I'm not sure. There's no hope.
At one time, I think in 1995, Interpol gave a full report on the situation. It was actually presented to the government that there are some businessmen who are very close to the senior government leaders here in Zanzibar who are involved in this drug trafficking and drug trade, but no action has been taken by the government.
It's true, because a big dealer is Indian one, you see? And this is, and President is friend.
How long has this been going on for?
This is now 10 years, more than 10 years.
So are you suggesting because the drug traders are linked to government officials that this is some kind of a measure imposed by the government to keep the radical youth out of politics?
Oh yes, I think so.
Get them involved in drugs to keep them out of politics?
Yes, that's what most people believe, not only me.
So what does that say about the future here? I mean, that's a bleak thing to say. That's a hell of a controversial statement to make.
I think, as I told you, that most of the problems here in Zanzibar originated or have their roots from the government of the day. And I think the only thing that can change the situation is changing the government.
After 5 years, what will happen to you?
God knows.
There's so many people who just seem to sit around, like these guys, sort of like people just sit around.
Young men. I think it's the men, the young men.
Yeah, the young men.
Sit around and they don't seem to be doing anything. Like maybe they're smoking or playing games, and you think, God, none of them are working.
The opposition claims 60% of 18 to 30-year-old Zanzibaris are heroin users. I was about to ask the government for their side of the story when I was told the authorities were on the lookout for an Australian who'd been nosing around with a camera. I was advised to get off the island as quickly as possible. What do you dream about for the future of Africa?
Just wish I could take my veil off and I could speak freely without any fear. And I could speak all the truth, the whole truth.
Do you think one day you will see that dream come true?
Yes, I hope so.
Back on the mainland, the boys and I rendezvoused with Roger and headed northwest into the bush. Documentary so far, I'm very, very happy with it, I must say. I've started off in Cape Town, I've been working my way north. I've been on the road for about 3.5 months. I can't say I've enjoyed every single moment of it. It's been quite stressful and quite trying. So there's a weird kind of dichotomy wherever you go. Like in South Africa, for instance, there's so much violence and so much crime, yet there's a spirit of reconciliation, where I could walk into South Africa as a white man with a camera and people felt open and felt free to talk to me. So I think in every situation I've been in, there's been great degrees of sadness and happiness, lightness and darkness, good and bad. They're good ones.
Sorry, the money.
Okay. How much are the potatoes? How many shillings?
2,000. Are you even selling them? 1,000 shillings?
We thought we'd struck a pretty good deal. 6 spuds for $1, until I realised we'd paid for the whole damn bucket.
Yeah? No, not those, these. No. These ones. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks very much. Africa wins again. Yeah, real honeymoon suite.
You don't say more.
I don't think so.
Not looking too comfortable at the moment.
Of
course, in recent months, there hasn't been much rogering in the back. Drought and famine.
Yeah. So no luck as yet.
Roger's a lonely guy at the moment.
Deep in the Serengeti, the dynamic duo were determined to mark their territory and overpower nearby rivals with their pungent emissions.
I must say I'm looking forward to getting into the mountains and getting physical for a while. I think that'd be awesome. And to stand on top of Mount Kilimanjaro in the heart of Africa, I think might be the highlight of my trip. I'm really looking forward to that, in fact. I think it'd be awesome.
I finally left Roger and the lads to continue their sexual conquest of Africa, while I took off towards the world's highest freestanding mountain and met some new friends to travel with.
Why are you doing this?
Doing it because you talked me into it.
You lads feeling strong?
Yeah.
Gonna get up this hill? But I couldn't walk away from Tanzania without at least giving this climb a try, giving this mountain a go. It is going to be an absolute killer of a climb. Kilimanjaro lies only 3 degrees south of the equator, but it's perpetually capped by snow. Our guide, who's sitting in the front seat, was saying this morning that last time he went up there it was minus 15 degrees at the summit. It's 4 days up, 2 days down. We've got 4 porters carrying our gear, thankfully. It is really tough. This is not kind of a cakewalk or a picnic.
Kilimanjaro, 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 Kilimanjaro,
I will get there one day. There she goes. Okay, go on again.
Then it's not a problem now.
See, our guide is the eternal optimist.
Are we okay?
Yeah.
No problems?
No problem.
And so far, it has been an absolute breeze. And in fact, there are like hordes of 55, 56, sort of 65-year-old American tourists all over the place, which is just a mite embarrassing.
Kilimanjaro, 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 Kilimanjaro,
Yeah, no problems.
No problem.
This fire's not going to creep up on us in the night.
No problem.
Today is a hell of a lot tougher than yesterday was, and it's been quite scary actually. We've been surrounded by a forest fire almost the whole time, and I'm feeling quite wrecked at the moment because last night we had to post a vigil at the Machami campsite because the fire was encircling us, and we had to do 3-hour shifts, which was quite scary because the fire was coming really close. But I think at the moment we're going to be all right because we're above the tree line, and there's not a lot to burn up here, so I'm quite confident that we'll be all right. We have to make an attempt on the summit tonight, because if the amount of smoke increases and clings to the face, then we're definitely going to get altitude sickness and possibly asphyxiation as well because of the smoke. On top of that, we also just heard that an American climber died at the summit last night from exposure to altitude and hypothermia. So as I say, things aren't looking the best, but we're going to give it our best shot. Climbing Kilimanjaro was one of the most memorable experiences of my journey, but just as we reached the peak, the camera froze up.
No disrespect to your documentary, but camera work can just never sort of do justice to what it's really like, to what you really feel when you're there, and it's just so alive. That's what it is. Like everywhere you go, you know, if you're on safari, if you're in the national parks, then the land is just teeming with fauna. If you're in a city, it's just so alive with the spirit of the people.
And the spirit was intoxicating. We celebrated our climb with a champagne breakfast at the foot of Africa's greatest mountain.
We've got a lot more drinking to do. The guys just opened a new bottle of champagne for us. So.
Yeah. But it's research.
It's research. It's research.
It's research for how the other half lives when they come to visit Africa.
That's so true. That's a really good point. And for you.
Yeah, there you go. Out you come, buddy. And see why the colonialists had such a good time in Africa.
Yeah, totally. I probably had a ball.
Breakfast lasted all day, and then, like the colonialists before us, we left the washing up behind and floated off into the African dusk.
Next week, Michael meets the children of Nairobi's privileged families and takes a cruise up the Nile in the final episode of Africa, Cape Town to Cairo. You can find the CD from the series at ABC shops. Stay with us now for the irrepressible Alf Garnett in Till Death Us Do Part.
Whether hunting their prey, soaring on thermals, or migrating thousands...
Has a fragile peace after a UN-brokered ceasefire suspended 8 years of civil war between rebels and government troops. But calm has come at a high price. The UN deal gives total amnesty to all involved in the war, despite horrific human rights abuses, including mass mutilations and the forced recruitment by rebels of as many as 10,000 children. The peace deal has allowed some of those child soldiers to escape their rebel captors and return to the capital, Freetown. But there is still much tension in the nation, with the UN having so far failed to disarm the rebels, or the RUF as they're known. Many fear violence will return to Sierra Leone. And adding to the uncertainty is the question of whether it will ever be possible to rehabilitate an entire generation of children who've been forced to fight, to maim and to kill. This report from Dateline's Matthew Carney, but we warn that his story contains some extremely graphic and disturbing material.
As much as it can, life is returning to Sierra Leone. The nation is suffering deep trauma from the rebel invasion of the capital, Freetown, on the 6th of January this year. The rebel assault of Freetown was the climax of 8 years of slaughter, looting and burning. It was only the presence of Nigerian peacekeepers that stopped the rebels taking control of the entire country. The real horror for civilians was that more than half of the invasion force were children or teenagers, and their terror campaign being directed by senior rebel leadership. Most were drugged, as this captured rebel boy explains.
For boosting morale?
For boosting morale.
Total madness. They were just gunning down people, burning houses at random. They were not actual, there was no specific target. They get into your compound, they ask everybody to come down, they line up 7, 15, 20 people, they just gun them down. Everybody was a target. And this has never happened. For the 7, 8 years that the war has been going on, the rebels have never attacked the city. But this time, when they attacked, the destruction, the carnage was too much.
On the march to Freetown, there was Operation Annihilate Every Living Thing, and then Operation Burn Freetown.
Go ahead.
Small boy units, that is gangs of boys under the age of 12, were organised into burn house units, cut-hand commandos and bloodshed squads. The aim was to terrorise.
They would get a 5, 10-year-old boy, instruct him to rape his own mother, right, in front of our eyes.
Sirius Samaru is the journalist who filmed these images of the January invasion. He is lucky to be alive. Anyone who represented civil society, such as teachers, policemen or journalists, was singled out for murder and mutilation. About half the world's journalists who have been killed in conflict areas this year have met their fate in Sierra Leone. Since the taping of this interview, Sirius has fled the country because he's learnt he is on a rebel death list.
I actually cry aloud in my sleep because I still see some of these scenes. It's like they're never going to go away, and it's really affecting me.
The rebels maimed a nation. They have left at least 10,000 people without hands and feet, a city destroyed, and a people in shock. These atrocities were not committed in the name of any ideology or religion, but simply to terrorise and control the population. But there was worse to come. When the Nigerian peacekeepers brought in more troops to flush out the rebels out of Freetown, no one knew that as the rebels withdrew, they were taking even more children with them. In all, they abducted 4,000 children to bolster their numbers. Today in the hills near Freetown, the rebels are using the boys as soldiers and the girls as sex slaves. The double tragedy for Sierra Leone is that by destroying the minds of children, they have destroyed the future of a country.
What's your name again?
My name is
Sheriff Koroma.
11-year-old Sheriff Koroma was one of those abducted. Risking his life, he fled from his rebel keepers and walked 30 kilometres to the relative safety of Freetown. This is Sheriff's first counselling session. He will be registered on a national tracing program in the hope of finding his family. The counsellor, Martin George, will establish a case profile to determine the type of treatment he needs.
You've been killed?
Yes.
So you killed? You know how many people you killed? You've been loot. You've been loot. Eh? You've been raped? You've been raped, woman? They not rape you? No. Show me how you can use that.
Slowly, the details of Sheriff's story emerge. He was caught by the rebels as he fled his burning village. Then he was given 2 weeks military training and forced to attack Freetown. Every morning, Sheriff was drugged and told to sever human hands. He earned the nickname Chop Hand because he was good at the task. Ibrahim Barry Jr. is 16 years old. Until 2 weeks ago, he was Sheriff's commanding officer. He was given the rank and the name of General Shedblood with the RUF rebels and was in charge of 50 boys.
I killed more than 1,000 people because I fought for a long years. So I've killed a lot. I cannot remember the amount of people, but I've killed a lot of people.
But in one go, how many people would you kill?
Sometimes to line 10 people on the line and fire them. Sometimes on the front, kill a lot of people. So I don't really know the amount. You know, a fighter, you cannot know the amount of people that you kill, but we know that we have killed a lot.
So this thing here.
Like Sheriff, Ibrahim Barry was abducted, given a gun, drugged and taught how to kill 7 years ago at the age of 9. Since then, he's been used and abused by 6 different rebel factions in West Africa. That is, every rebel faction in Liberia and every rebel faction in Sierra Leone.
When you kill people in combat, what do you think about the people? Is it like they're just animals, or?
They understand like a chicken or rat. You know, when I have took my drugs, I've got that thing in my head. Somebody, even me, bring my brother from the same stomach, he say, this is a rebel, I will not even watch you, I will just kill you. Yeah, I feel happy when I'm killing the time when I have a drugs. Yeah.
Why? Does it feel powerful, or?
Yeah, I feel powerful. Sometimes, if I don't want to kill you, I remove your heart, twist out a rum bottle, turn it on the heart and chew it, you know?
So you'll eat the heart with it?
Yeah, I eat the liver of the human being. Community.
To outsiders, these boys may not seem to feel remorse, but they have been deeply troubled and at this stage are confused by what they have done.
Some of us, we are not willing to fight.
Yes.
But because the time we were a baby to fight this war, and this gun, when you are used to it from the baby, you will never leave it until somebody is there to counsel you and tell you that leave this gun, leave this, and encourage you. We children, we need encouragement. So I always tell my friends and the people of the country, please, we have done wrong, and the wrong we have done, we don't do it by ourselves. We do it on senseless, and we are sorry for this type of thing we did to them. We have done a lot of things we are not supposed to do. Yeah. I have took many types of drugs. Many, let me not lie. But right now, look at me. I am not talking like a sensible man. But someone talking to you like I don't know what I'm talking, you see? Really.
If Ibrahim can be rehabilitated, Martin will have to help him reconcile his past with the future.
The anger should go down. You see, being a human being, you have to love your fellow human being.
Ibrahim's identity has come from the power of a gun and the rank of a soldier, and changing that could be the hardest part.
You know, when somebody took a gun, he always feel that he is a power man. So I thought I was a power man. I always give command to anything I want to do.
Buying his first pair of shoes in 7 years is a small but important step in establishing a civilian mindset.
You know, this now 45.
But there's been some good news. It's been 3 days and Sheriff's elder brother has been tracked down. Martin returns to meet Sheriff's older brother, Abdul, to discuss issues of acceptance. Many child soldiers are rejected by their families when they return because of the atrocities and the destruction they may have inflicted on their own communities.
But today, come to you. This man will don't take an hour as we won't pick him. We go assist you now. Go try for education. The program day for education. Once you fully on, from fire business. So now the Saladu down there, you come. So therefore they bring person come, or everything.
Martin offers some small gifts.
How in our peace?
Sheriff has learnt that his father was killed by the rebels soon after he was abducted, and his village, 50 kilometres north of Freetown, has been completely destroyed. No one knows the whereabouts of the rest of his family, or whether his mother is alive or dead. Abdul is making do with his wife and child in this room. But the best news for Sheriff is that Abdul is prepared to help.
Then plenty where to go school.
For outlaw, let the people what's name is for put them back. Now the wrong way. Let it come. No, we can't help for put on a school. Let it be a better somebody for the country. Because now the Abu Pan for be we don't fit future leader. So we feel so at the talk to them for let it forget but with him beyond past, no, it start a new life.
Combatants.
This is some of the rebel leadership that must take responsibility for abducting Sheriff and the 4,000 children when they withdrew from Freetown. A forward party is in Freetown, the city they nearly destroyed, implementing a peace package. As head chairman of the RUF War Council, SBY Rogers is a senior rebel leader.
I am not actually denying that children were not adopted. As far as the January 6th, invasion into Freetown was concerned. But with the RUF, we have principles, we have ideology. We cannot adopt children. You see, we can only rescue children, and then these children, when they go to us, actually, we take care of them.
So you're saying that you actually look after the children?
Yes, we look after them, and even actually, when they are with us, we cannot actually, they are not to be harmed, you see, because we rescue them from, two opposing factions, fighting, you understand? And when you rescue them, you have to bring them on your side. You cannot just leave them actually in the bush, actually roaming and die. So we have to bring them, you see.
A lot of people say that you use them as fighters, and there's allegations.
Not necessarily. You can take children, actually, children at the age of 5 years, no. That is completely actually out of the question. You understand me? But when children at the age of over 10, you understand me? It's better actually to teach them, you understand me, how to use it, other than to leave them actually so that they can, cause actually any amount of damage if they don't know actually how to, manipulate.
So the best way, you think, is to actually teach them. At the age of 10, it's a good idea to teach them to use the weapons.
Yeah, but below actually that age, actually, it's out of the question.
When President Ahmed Tijen Kabar called for the people of Sierra Leone to lend your hands for peace and democracy in 1996, the rebels responded by severing the hands and feet of civilians. Today, Freetown has at least 10,000 amputees. Many more are behind rebel lines where they are isolated from any medical support. 13-year-old Mariatu Karbu knew nothing of politics, but had both of her hands amputated by the rebels. She is an invalid and relies on her mother to wash, dress and feed her.
They help me for go school. And they help me people there. Because when I went from upline, I didn't rebel there. Then beat me, papa, then one kill, and then they old me sister, then cry go. To the uncle, then I said, now what I learned, and now to one man who stayed and called part top, and I said, Sunday. I did it. You not get it for it.
How much people you don't cut the hand? Oh, I wait and they come for Kosan.
No.
How is it?
From the what is you are can cut the hand, from the stood there and they carry and what I today. I call what I should fix and I cut. If you not try to cut, I cut on two. I should go. Put that in that cabash and make up this. And they come back. All our cut down.
So who told him to do this?
Who that tell you for doing this?
And bossman.
My bossman.
And would his boss man give him a reward if he cut off many hands? Would he get a reward?
Well, your bossman can pay you if you cut one hand.
No.
What you can do?
They like they make better information.
Sheriff is still too young to understand the implications of what he has done. But again, his leaders deny any accountability.
How many people would he do? How many? And it's just down the road, there is an amputation camp. Have you seen the amputation camp?
We have amputees actually behind rebel lines as well.
Yeah. But have you seen the amputation camp just down the road?
No, I have not gone there. Since because it's not the work of the RUF.
All right,
I can only go there actually for humanitarian reasons, because they are fellow Sierra Leoneans. So such an attitude actually, I condemn it. Such diabolical games actually, we the leadership of the RUF, we condemn it. You see, and we have vehemently condemned it, and we continue to condemn it. Those who did that actually, the truth actually, will come actually, into light.
But they say, many people in that camp with no arms say that the RUF cut off their limbs, cut off their arms. They say this, I've been there and that's what they've said to me.
Yes, they might say so. That has been actually, the war. To such an extent, you understand, that they are designing it. This actually, I disagree.
It is well established by the United Nations, Human Rights Watch and NGOs that the rebels are responsible for the amputations. At age 2, Momona is the youngest rebel victim. She can't explain what has happened to her, but Mariatu can. Mariatu is confused why the men who are responsible for cutting off her hands are living in comfort just up the road in what seems more like a reward than a punishment.
I'm not glad about that. No candy so we're not get frying food. Then just the conflict baked some food and the then they give them rest and then supply will get it.
The rebel terror campaign has paid dividends. The Lomé Peace Accord signed in July means the rebels will share power with the government and take control of the country's massive diamond and mineral wealth. In effect, the future of this fragile nation will be decided in part by the people responsible for its worst nightmare. If there is a good force in this conflict, it is the Civil Defence Force or the Kamajos. They are traditional hunters who transformed themselves into a fighting force when their people and their homelands were threatened by rebel advances. They met brutality with brutality. and have secured most of the south and east of the country. The Kamajos are ruthless in attack and fearlessly loyal.
How do you feel about killing them?
Well, we feel happy because of they have betrayed the country.
Yeah.
You see, they have betrayed the country. So anybody who betrayed the nation of Sierra Leone, we CDF, we are ready to kill you.
The government called in the Kamajos to help the Nigerian peacekeepers push back the rebel invasion of Freetown. They had an impact and met rebel terror tactics by severing heads of captured rebels. The Kamajos are popular because they have rules in combat. It is taboo for them to loot, rape or take drugs. They are initiated into a secret society and believe they have the power to control the direction of bullets and the ability to appear and disappear. But if they break these rules, they lose these powers.
This, all they control the bullet.
How do they control? How?
Any bullet coming on is the sender up.
But what happens if they shoot? So they shoot directly?
If you shoot directly to me, it cannot come to me directly. It will go up.
Different direction.
Different direction.
To fly up.
This, anytime you are trying to shoot at us, we put your gun off.
Off, yes. Put it off. We call it cut off.
We call this one in our native dialect cut off. Anytime you point the gun at us, we point the gun at you. We point the cut off at your gun. Surely
fire,
it will go off. It will not fire at us.
And this is why you're good fighters?
Yes. That makes us a good fighters.
Because you have these powers?
Because we have these mystical powers.
But the Kamajos also use child soldiers. They say they have 10,000 child combatants, about the same number as the rebels. Muhammad John Nyaba is 15. Abraham Mabu is 14 and says he's killed 5 rebels. If the boys are virgins, they are considered to have pure spirits and are given a special role in the battle, as their spiritual leader explains.
Aha, point na savama. Muti wa ila hai maboisa me mafitwe. Chame aguye ngetwe, ifa chatu kwe nyanda mwel mata okunya agya tayele yimfo na lote kwa tilenga te mwa.
From the United Nations.
The situation is so critical that the United Nations sent their special representative for children in armed conflict, Alura Atuno, to work out a strategy. But instead, he was swamped with protest over the United Nations brokered peace deal for Sierra Leone.
And we are saying this in outreach, and we are ready to take to the streets today. We are going to strike. Today we are going to take on the streets. No peace. We don't want no peace again. We are going to retaliate. We are suffering here.
While the UN has upgraded their commitment to prosecuting war criminals internationally, Sierra Leone has not been included in this process. The United Nations sponsored peace deal grants a complete amnesty for all war crimes committed here. This means the rebel leadership cannot be held accountable for any of the abductions, the mutilation or the destruction.
Community will see us. This is no peace. We will not accept no peace, no blanket amnesty while we are suffering here.
What would you like to see in place?
We want good food, good shelters, for our homes to be rebuilt. They have burnt all our houses.
Mokhtar Jallow is the chairman of one amputation camp in Freetown. The rebel who actually severed his hand has made it to Freetown because of the peace process.
They are in town. Even myself, I saw 2 of them. The one who did this to me in town. I called on him. He saw me. Then I said, you thought I would die. I've survived. You see me today? Both of them wash themselves and bury their head.
Even more appalling to Mokhtar is the knowledge that he has no legal avenue to bring him to justice. Like many, Mokhtar fears if the rebels are not brought to justice, there'll be nothing to stop them from repeating the bloodshed. The government says it had no choice but to negotiate with the rebels. Their army had defected and joined the rebels, and the government was broke.
When you take a look at giving 4 cabinet positions to the RUF, 4 deputy cabinet positions to them, and giving the chairmanship of the resource committee to the leader of the RUF, that is indeed a very small price to pay when you consider that over hundreds and thousands of people have been displaced, thousands of houses have been destroyed, property destroyed, both government and private, lots of maiming, lots of mutilation, lots of raping. When you take a look at all of those, it's a very small price to pay.
The peace is very fragile and the mood is anxious. While the disarming and demobilising of all factions was meant to have been finished by now, it hasn't really started, leaving the whole country armed and dangerous.
We paid a very high price for it, including the blanket amnesty. And what we're expecting in return is a sense of security which begins, in their view, by the fighters laying down their arms. So clearly, everything has to be done to put the facilities in place for disarming, to have the sites for disarming, to have the places for demobilization.
It is true that a few countries have been trying, like Britain, you know, and the Americans. But when I carefully look at even the support from these well-meaning governments, the support that they've been sending to this country, is insignificant compared to what they're doing in other parts of the world. I mean, when you hear about humanitarian support that is sent to Kosovo, you're talking about what, billions of dollars. In Sierra Leone, when you talk about support, you're talking about maybe $1 million or $500,000.
The real concern for Dr. Sese is that the international community will just stand by and watch this peace process become another failure like the last 2 attempts in 1996 and 1998.
People are tired of this war, and the members of the international community are signatories to that document. The UN is, America is, Britain is, and if these countries sit by, I mean, they gave the impression that once you negotiate and there's a peace agreement, there will be help coming in to help to consolidate the peace. It's not happening right now. It's being very painfully slow, to the point that it's worrying that this may unhinge the whole process. And if, I think this is the chance that we can't afford to miss, if as a result of this dragging of feet, whatever, if we lose this chance and this war starts again, I think this country will be destroyed completely.
Because the third of family from inside,
UNOMSIL, the United Nations organisation charged with supervising the peace process, would not speak to Dateline about the slow pace of peace. But the Special Representative for Children in Armed Conflict stressed the urgency of the situation.
There are many other crises, other areas of the world which are seeking to attract attention. There's Kosovo, there is East Timor, to mention only 2. It's a long list. It's a long list. So obviously, how does one ensure that within that, Sierra Leone, the children of Sierra Leone, will have a space? That's partly why I'm here, to continue to highlight the situation of Sierra Leone, to tell the world that this is among the situations that should remain on your agenda. Don't let it drop off.
As the country has accepted a peace without justice, the crucial issue is whether communities and individuals can ever reconcile with each other. This rebel soldier is confused and aggressive after returning to his community, only to be rejected. Soon after, this teenager went back to the bush to join the rebels again. It's about 2 weeks later, and it's a different story for Ibrahim. In his quest to transform himself, Ibrahim has turned to the church.
We see who is ready for a change and who is not ready for a change. But there are some good signs. It's like somebody coming out from the blues, you know. It's change. He will change. He will change, actually.
Ibrahim says the one humane act he did when he was known as General Shedblood, saving a nun from certain death, showed him it was possible to change.
As a young boy, but he saw the reality. The sister, as God person, saved that sister and carried her to Ivory Coast. And that sister touched him, and he became a Christian. And as we, the Christians, as the youth, have accepted him, in order to forget all what, to help him to come to realize the great power God has given him, not only as a fighter, but as an intelligent boy to live among his companions. Therefore, we call him to come and join them. And we are happy for him he came. Ibrahim, please stand up, let us see.
Actually, I want Allah to forgive me because I don't do much he was supposed to do. So, I beg. Don't tell me you're winning. I beg, I'm small. So, I'm sorry. Yeah? Now, forgive me for what you all have done. And the other one, the singer is my friend.
And the pieces are slowly coming together for Sheriff as well. His mother took the dangerous journey to Freetown in search of her family. Although she has nothing and still doesn't know the whereabouts of all her children, she has been reunited with Sheriff.
Is there Grandma? Stop crying, stop crying.
So that time where Sheriff come, I think I've been sick.
Okay.
But where they say, oh, where you are a hala, you picking on can't do. I grab.
Okay.
I mean, I like the life.
Okay, yeah.
Now go grip and myself grip me. I grip and now they cry, they cry. All two boys cry.
Himself cry?
Yes, he cry in sake of him, daddy.
Okay.
We lost. So that time now, I'm glad he back. I praise God.
And see?
Yeah. Sheriff is a little bit militant first for the moment, but it will be easily changed, you know.
Okay.
But he can't do.
Where is that? Eh?
If Ibrahim and Sheriff are to be successfully rehabilitated, it will be done here. When this home is finished, they'll spend 6 months in deep trauma counselling and schooling. These boys are the lucky ones. They're getting a second chance at life.
Then we now come
that is good because the place is cool,
fine,
quiet, no noise.
Yeah.
There'll be enough time for us to...
If peace works, there could be as many as 20,000 child combatants who will need similar treatment. To date, there is only 4 of these homes in the country.
Look, Mr. Manti, the place we are sitting down, quiet, you know, is a very nice place. We are sitting right.
So if I come back in, say, 2 years' time, what would you like me to see?
I hope that when I become a priest or somebody who loves to help children, because that is the work I want to do. And I hope you will live until that time and let you see the time I'll try doing that things, yeah, for my country.
Over there.
In 1 week, Indonesia's People's Consultative Assembly, the MPR, will decide who will be the Republic's first democratically elected president. When popular elections were held more than 4 months ago, Megawati Sukarnoputri's PDIP won nearly 34% of the vote, way ahead of the ruling Golkar party. But that doesn't mean Megawati will be president. Who will win seems to defy most pundits. The three main contenders are the discredited President Habibie and Abdurrahman Wahid, also known as Gus Dur, the unpredictable leader of Indonesia's largest Islamic organisation. Earlier today, I spoke to leading political journalist Desi Anwar in Jakarta. The interview was recorded just before the announcement that President Habibie had chosen the Chief of the Armed Forces, General Wiranto, as his vice presidential running mate. Desi Anwar, welcome to Dateline. From where you sit, is it at all possible to predict who will become the next president of Indonesia?
No, it's actually very difficult to predict. The thing is, when we voted for our first democratic election back in June, we all very much, as you can see with the results, with PDIP, Megawati's party winning, obviously the people are expecting her to get the top position. But as it is, we now have three candidates, which is President Habibie and Megawati, the chairman of the PDIP. And now we have a third contender, which is Abdurrahman Wahid, or Gus Dur, coming into the picture, which rather complicates the issue, and we certainly don't have any clear idea of who's going to be elected.
Well, let's run through those candidates if we can. President Habibie certainly appears to an outsider to be in a very weakened position. The government's decision not to proceed with an investigation into former President Suharto, has that affected his standing at all?
Well, yes and no, because I think we all know that he wasn't very serious when it comes to pursuing the charges against former President Suharto to begin with anyway. So I think that didn't come as too much of a surprise. I think that the Bang Bali scandal and the shootings of the students and the debacle at East Timor, that would weigh heavily on his administration. So that, if anything, that would ruin those chances. I mean, the case against President Suharto could, be taken up again by the next regime. So I think he's either gambling or he's trying to save himself by closing the case at this point.
President Habibie certainly, as you say, is tainted with this notion of money politics. But in reality, will there be votes bought and sold in this presidential election?
Well, we're hoping that the 700 members of the Assembly would sort of rise above their political interests and start thinking about the future of the country and start listening to what the people want. And basically what the people want, we've spoken, and that has been reflected in the result of the election. So we are hoping that the MPR people will listen to the people, because if the Indonesian people are not happy with the result, it could be that it would be the MPR against the people on the streets. So I think they have to be very, very sensitive to their choice, because yes, money politics can be a sort of a deciding factor, in the sense that if there are big bags of money being offered to each member of the Assembly, and and they accept it, well then this is where I think the Parliament on the street might take up their position.
Do you think that the members of the MPR realise that that is what will happen if this whole foray into a democratic election is misplayed and mishandled in this way?
Yes, I think they realise it, and the fact that the Assembly so far has proceeded rather smoothly, with quiet on the streets and noisy in the House, which is as it should be in politics, I think they realise that there has to be a good deal of power sharing, a good deal of compromise, a good deal of just really listening to what the people want, because the gamble and the stake at this time is far too big. I think everybody has to start thinking perhaps not of their sort of political interest. They have to rise above their own party politics and start thinking about rebuilding the country and getting democracy back on its proper track.
Now, there was a time when Megawati Sukarnoputri looked unbeatable, but it appears that her fortunes have changed somewhat, haven't they?
She she is very much a populist figure, but when it comes to the 700 people in Parliament who have the mandate to choose her, this is when high politics, this is when politicians and backroom dealing and horse trading take place, and we as the people are out of that variation, so to speak. So we can only act as pressure group in order to remind the MPR, listen to what the people say and remember the results of the election. So I think when it comes to politicking, Megawati, or her party at least, they're showing their inexperience, but then that's because they've been marginalized from politics, whereas the other parties, they're very good at politicking, they're very good at backroom dealing, they're very good at perhaps money politics and horse trading, and this is something that they just have to learn.
Do you have any idea what Gus Deur, this mercurial figure, is up to? He began as an ally of Megawati's, but now is presenting himself as a presidential candidate.
Well, this is it, because if the race is only between Habibi and Megawati, then we can say for sure that Megawati has the better chance. But now that Gus Deur has come into the picture, this rather complicates the issue, because his party, or rather the party that he generates, so far they have sort of pledged to give their votes to Megawati, but some of the voters of the party are very sort of rather not very happy about having a woman figure, because these are a very strong sort of Muslim base. And so obviously if Gus Deur comes into the picture and he does sort of have ambitions to become president, that is the party that would sort of not vote for Megawati, in which case she will lose a good deal of support from that direction, in which case she has to look for support from other parties, even Golkar.
Desi Anwar, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Political commentator Desi Anwar from Jakarta. And that's it for tonight. Next week on our final program for 1999, an extraordinary story of drama and heroism inside the besieged UN compound in Dili. Carmela Baranovska was the only Australian documentary filmmaker during cataloguing the events during East Timor ballot and its aftermath. Her film presents the most comprehensive catalogue to date of the last days of Indonesia's control of the territory. Join us for that story and more next Wednesday. Until then, good night.
Tonight. It's our past. We can't forget where we've come from.
The decline in the study of history in schools and universities.
Well, it's very annoying when you hear things said about Australian history that is plain wrong.
And the race to refocus national attention.
We must not be afraid of the past.
Uncovering our history inside 8:30 tonight.
Man has here conquered nature in the most spectacular fashion.
They just built it and flooded it. We just had to run.
The Ord River irrigation scheme could be a forerunner of a similar scheme in the West Kimberley.
The untapped resource is the water.
We've got coals in Broome now, and I've got to tell you that's a pretty big thing.
I think this is what they call progress.
Friday, the struggle to save one of our last untouched river systems, the mighty Fitzroy. More than 1 million years in the making, now up for the taking.
So the image is of white men coming in with their axes, and the axe blow shatters the sails. And it announces that civilization has arrived, history has begun.
You know, it's time that we stopped thinking of rivers as things to be manipulated.
They're using the Ord River as a sewage outlet.
Big rain come, you wash all that chemical right through. Common sense. Use that.
River of Dreams, 8:30, Friday. Saturday night, the complete history of sleuthing and the forensic science behind a century of crime solving.
In the beginning, there was Sherlock Holmes. The man with a magnifying glass and his creator, Dr. Arthur Conan Doyle, were able to show that complete reliance on confessions was a thing of the past.
And forensic science, the so-called silent witness, was the way of the future.
Crime had come up against science in what was to become an endless struggle. Since then, detectives and scientists have been obliged to work together. The men in the white coats, doctors, chemists, biologists, physicians, and computer scientists, have gradually become indispensable to police detectives. A body has been found in the street. The forensic scientist called in on the case is going to tell us about the techniques used to determine the time of death.
A fascinating series on the trail of crime starts Saturday at 8:30.
In 1949,
It was very cold
when I was young and strength was
and
mine,
very isolated.
as young men do, I tried to find
If you wanted to run away, you couldn't even run away.
with a sun-tanned body and a pair of jeans. The rattle
But it was a manly job, and it was a rewarding job, because all the time you had a feeling that you were doing something for the country.
Sunday night, part 2 of The Snowy. The faces, the families, and the generally good fortunes behind one of our most significant industrial and social experiments.
The Vine Channel and around Iron Men.
We were friends all of a sudden. Forget the war and show that you are civilized people.
I just said, you sound like a bunch of SS men. They said, yeah, and they showed me their SS numbers.
There were so many different nationalities and mixed marriages.
Snowy mountains. This is only like foothills.
The Snowy concludes 8:30 Sunday. Every Monday night at 7:30, with a repeat Saturday at 5:30, the English Premier League.
In 1989, all international trade in ivory was made illegal. Growing pressure from southern African countries has now forced a partial lifting of the trade ban. Elephants must pay their way.
Tuesday, a journey into nations where elephants have suddenly gone from endangered to dangerous, from victim to bully.
Nobody is going to tolerate a large animal that's capable of squashing the human beings around it and eating all their food.
As the biggest symbol, the most important animal in Africa, these aren't things that ought to be shot because they get in our way.
Culling, green hunting, electronic tracking and birth control are all under trial.
We inoculate any animal in the world other than a pig. The sperm comes along, it can't attach.
And the most radical trial, returning control of the herds to villagers.
Half the money the hunter pays will go to the community.
Elephants or ivory, 8:30 Tuesday.
In the beginning was the award-winning Pentax MZ5, first of the new breed of lightweight compact SLRs, the SLR camera of the year. Now the breakthrough. Pentax has taken a great camera and made it better. The Pentax MZ5N. Advanced electronics give you truly professional results with ease and simplicity. Winner of the 1999 Australian Camera Magazine SLR Camera of the Year Award at a breakthrough price from just $769 from Camera House, over 100 stores across Australia.